Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. We're diving into the world of Chinese AI.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating area right now.
It is, and I know a lot of you out there are super curious about this. China's influence in AI is growing rapidly, so we're going to uncover the technological leaps, but also all the other implications of this. Like, what does it mean for the world, and what challenges does China face in its quest to, I guess, be top dog in the world of AI?
It's pretty remarkable, actually. China has gone from just kind of watching from the sidelines to being a major player, and we're really seeing a tech leap that could actually reshape the global balance of power. Makes me think of the internet. Remember how it started?
Right.
Yeah, like a niche thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, bam, it revolutionized everything.
Yeah.
AI has that some potential, I think, and China's right there, ready to, well, lead the charge.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about China's ambition. We hear a lot about it, right? Becoming a global leader in AI by 2030. It's a bold target, no doubt.
It is.
So where does this ambition come from, and what are the foundations of it?
What's interesting, China's AI journey, you could say, actually began way back in the late 1970s.
Wow. Okay.
But it wasn't until 2017 that they really launched this plan. They call it the Next Generation Artificial Intelligence Development Plan. Kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's their roadmap to AI dominance. And it's not just, a vague idea or some aspiration. It outlines specific things, goals, targets, and even initiatives.
So it's a concrete plan, a strategy.
Exactly.
Okay, that's impressive. So then what's fueling this rapid progress? How are they moving so quickly?
Right. Well, it's a bunch of factors, really. I mean, the government's investing a ton of money into research and development.
Right.
And there's a really active research community in China. They're really pushing the limits of AI innovation.
I see.
And then you see a surge in patent applications, too. So it's
Right.
like this perfect storm of, well, resources and ambition, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's not just one thing. It's the whole system working together, right?
Yeah.
Like an ecosystem.
Right.
So then who are the key players? Who are the companies actually leading the charge?
Okay. Well, you've got the big ones, of course. Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent.
Yeah.
Those names probably sound familiar.
Sure.
They've been designated as national AI teams. So that tells you something right there.
Right.
And they're really at the forefront of developing these cutting-edge technologies, things like facial recognition, natural language processing, which is huge right now, and even autonomous driving.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the big names, the ones we all know.
Right.
But are there any like up-and-coming companies, any kind of underdogs making a splash?
Oh, absolutely. The AI scene in China is super dynamic. It's really interesting. You have startups like, for example, Zipu AI and Baishuan AI, and these are emerging as real contenders. And they're challenging the big players.
Look, a competitive landscape.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And that's great because it injects this healthy dose of competition. It's like this constant race to the top, everyone pushing each other.
What really interesting. So
Yeah.
it's not just, this one big machine, but a bunch of different players.
Exactly.
So what are some of the cool things China's already doing with AI? What are they focusing on in terms of applications and advancements?
Okay, well, one area that I find really fascinating is what they call intelligent support platforms.
Okay.
And this is basically combining human knowledge with AI's capabilities to make these really sophisticated systems, and they're using them in all sorts of fields. Imagine like a supercomputer, right? But it can help scientists with all these complex calculations.
Yeah.
Or a platform that helps doctors diagnose diseases more accurately, things like that.
Oh, I see. So it's not just about replacing humans, but really enhancing their abilities. Okay. And I know they're also doing a lot in autonomous systems, especially with all those unmanned vehicles like drones and self-driving cars, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Huge strides there. They have the potential to revolutionize tons of industries. I mean, everything from logistics and delivery to agriculture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we can't forget their work in smart cities, right? It seems like they're really embracing the idea of integrating AI into the fabric of cities.
Absolutely. They're using it to optimize urban infrastructure, make public services better, and just make cities more efficient and sustainable. Think of, traffic lights that adjust in real time based on traffic flow to reduce congestion, or maybe smart waste management systems that optimize collection routes.
Wow. So really using AI to improve the quality of life in urban environments.
Exactly.
That's pretty fascinating. Okay, so we've talked about all the advancements within China, but it's not just about domestic stuff, right?
Right.
How do these advancements impact the global stage, especially in relation to, well, the United States?
Right. Well, that's where things get a little more complicated because China's rise in AI has these big implications for their relationship with the US. You've got these two giants basically locked in this high stakes competition for technological dominance. And, their interactions are often marked by this lack of reciprocity and transparency. So it's a bit of a tense situation.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of tension and uncertainty surrounding the relationship. Do you think there's any room for collaboration in this whole AI landscape?
While the competition's definitely fierce, there are definitely areas where cooperation isn't just possible, but also necessary. Both countries, I mean, they both want to make sure AI is developed safely and responsibly. Take, for instance, AI safety and security. That's not something any single country can tackle on its own.
That's true. So even with all the rivalry, there's this recognition that some challenges require everyone to work together.
Hmm.
Because we have this big event coming up, the Summit of the Future.
Hmm.
Do you think that could be a turning point in the U.S.-China relationship? I mean, could it lead to more collaboration or maybe even escalate things further?
Yeah, the summit could be a pivotal moment. I mean, it gives both sides a chance to talk about their concerns and maybe find ways to cooperate. But there's also that risk that it could make things worse, especially if they can't find any common ground.
Right, right. It seems like we're at a crossroads here. The future of AI could be really shaped by the outcomes of these kinds of events. Definitely something to watch closely. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and focus on the challenges that China faces in this whole race for AI dominance, because despite all the progress they've made, I'm sure there are obstacles they need to overcome.
Oh, for sure. I mean, every journey has its bumps in the road.
So what are some of the key challenges that stand out to you?
Well, one of the biggest ones is this whole issue of self-sufficiency in semiconductor production. You see, the US has placed these restrictions on China's access to advanced chips, and those are essential for, well, for a lot of AI development.
Right. So even with all the investments and the talent they have,
Yeah.
they still rely on external sources for these crucial components. That sounds like a weak point, a vulnerability.
It is, and it's something they're actively trying to address. But, building up your own domestic chip manufacturing industry, that's a massive undertaking. It's complex, expensive, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
So even with this whole of nation approach, there are still external factors that can affect their progress.
Definitely.
Okay. Are there other challenges, other
Yeah.
things that could hinder their ambitions?
Well, another challenge is it's kind of a balancing act, really. It's about finding that right balance between, government guidance on one hand
Yeah.
and market-driven innovation on the other.
I see. So how much control versus how much freedom?
Exactly, because too much government control and you stifle creativity and entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
But if you go completely laissez-faire, you might not get the focused development they're aiming for.
It's like trying to steer a ship, right?
Yeah.
You need the right amount of control and flexibility to stay on course.
Exactly.
So what are some potential downsides to their current approach? Where could they where could they stumble?
Well, one concern is that with the government so heavily involved, there might be this focus on short-term gains instead of long-term innovation.
Oh, okay, I see.
And there's also a risk that their AI development becomes too centralized, which
Right.
could limit, the diversity of ideas and approaches.
That makes sense. So while this top-down approach might work well in the short term, it might not be sustainable in the long run.
Right.
Okay. Any other potential pitfalls?
Well, another challenge is creating these, strong regulations for AI, especially because we don't have like legally binding international agreements right now. So there's this risk of what they call a prisoner's dilemma scenario, where essentially everyone prioritizes their own self-interest over global cooperation.
Right. That makes sense.
And that could lead to a fragmented and, well, potentially dangerous AI landscape.
That's a scary thought.
Mm.
Okay, so it's clear that China's AI journey is full of both opportunities and challenges.
Hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how they navigate all of this in the years to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about their vision for the future. They've set this goal to achieve world-leading levels in AI theory, technology, and applications, all by 2030.
Right.
That's ambitious.
It is. And this target is actually laid out in that next generation artificial intelligence development plan that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That's their blueprint. It focuses on pushing innovation in key areas, so things like machine learning, natural language processing, and robotics. But it also tackles things like, ethical concerns and talent development.
Okay, so they're covering all the bases.
They're trying to.
What are some of the potential benefits if they actually pull this off?
Well, the economic implications are massive. I mean, imagine an AI industry worth trillions of dollars by, say, 2035, taking up a huge chunk of the global AI market. That kind of growth could completely transform China's economy, and it would reshape global power dynamics.
Those are some serious numbers. The stakes are high, for sure. But achieving dominance in AI isn't just about the money, is it? It's also about the people, the talent.
You're absolutely right. And there's this fierce competition between China and the US, really, to attract and nurture top AI talent and to build research capacity. Now, the US currently has a lead, but China's catching up fast. They're investing heavily in education and research to cultivate a new generation of, well, AI experts.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but the people behind it
Yeah.
and how they drive innovation. I think it'll be fascinating to see how this talent race, unfolds alongside all the technological advancements.
Oh, for sure. It's a dynamic and constantly evolving landscape. And the competition for talent is just as intense as the competition for those groundbreaking discoveries.
Speaking of breakthroughs, I'm kind of curious to dive deeper into some of the specific technological innovations that are, really pushing China's AI progress forward.
Okay.
Let's start with those autonomous unmanned systems. We hear a lot about their developments in drones and self-driving cars,
Yeah.
but what are some of the maybe lesser known applications? What else are they working on?
Well, one area where they're making pretty impressive strides is in agricultural drones. And these drones can actually do things like crop spraying and monitoring with incredible precision.
Wow.
Yeah, it increases efficiency and reduces the need for manual labor. Imagine like a fleet of these drones autonomously tending to these massive fields, optimizing everything from irrigation to pest control.
That's kind of mind-blowing, and it shows how AI can really transform these traditional industries. It's almost like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is. And, they're also using autonomous vehicles and logistics for things like package delivery and warehouse management, which, again, streamlines operations and cuts down costs.
So they're pushing the boundaries of automation across many different sectors. Are there any other interesting areas where their autonomous systems are making a difference?
Yeah, they're exploring the use of unmanned systems in things like disaster relief and search and rescue operations. So imagine drones that can navigate through rubble after an earthquake to find survivors or deliver emergency supplies to hard-to-reach areas.
That's incredible. A really powerful example of how AI can be used for good, using tech to solve real-world problems.
Absolutely. It's a really promising area of development that shows, I think, how AI can make a positive impact on society. But, alongside these advancements in autonomous systems, China's also making a lot of progress in machine learning and natural language processing. And these are really at the core of a lot of AI applications.
Right. Those two areas seem to be advancing so quickly. What are some ways that China is actually applying those technologies right now?
Well, for example, they're developing these sophisticated chatbots that can interact with customers in natural language, providing personalized service and support. So imagine a chatbot that can answer your questions about a product, or book a reservation for you, or even give you financial advice, all while sounding, well, human.
That would definitely change the game in customer service. It's amazing to think how AI can make our interactions with tech more intuitive, more like talking to a real person.
Exactly. And they're also using machine learning to analyze massive amounts of data and find patterns that humans would probably never spot.
Wow.
Yeah, this has applications in fields like finance, healthcare, and scientific research, anywhere where data analysis is important.
So using AI to get deeper insights and make smarter decisions.
Exactly. It's like having this super-powered research assistant that can sift through mountains of data and extract meaningful patterns.
That's a great way to put it. It shows how AI can really augment human capabilities. Okay, let's bring it back to the smart cities. We talked about them earlier, but I'm really interested in how they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible in urban environments.
Yeah, China's really at the forefront of that. They're integrating AI into so many aspects of city infrastructure.
So can you give us some concrete examples, like how are they actually using AI to build these futuristic cities?
Okay, well, they're using AI-powered traffic management systems. These systems monitor traffic flow and then adjust traffic lights in real time to reduce congestion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they've also got these smart waste management systems that plan the best collection routes based on real-time data. So that makes things more efficient and reduces environmental impact.
It sounds like they're creating a really seamless and interconnected urban ecosystem.
It is pretty amazing.
What are some other ways that they're using AI to, I guess, to make life better for people in cities?
Well, they're experimenting with AI-powered public safety systems. These systems analyze crime data and can deploy security resources more effectively.
Hmm.
And they're also using AI to enhance public services like healthcare and education, making them more accessible and personalized.
Wow. The scope of their ambitions is impressive.
It is.
But with all these advancements, I'm also thinking about the potential downsides.
Right.
Are there any concerns about, about privacy or maybe AI being used for surveillance?
Those are definitely valid concerns, and they're being debated, not just in China, but all over the world. Using AI in public spaces does raise these questions about data privacy and the potential for misuse. It's this balancing act, really, between leveraging AI for good and making sure that individual rights are protected.
Right. It's a reminder that with any powerful technology, we have to be responsible with how we use it.
Exactly.
Okay, it will be crucial for China to address these concerns and, to set clear guidelines for the ethical use of AI. It's a complex landscape, but incredibly important to navigate carefully. The decisions made now will have a big impact on the future of AI and its role in, well, in shaping our world.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's a tricky situation for sure. Balancing progress with, with ethical considerations is essential. And speaking of ethical considerations, it's fascinating how China's approach to developing AI is so different from what we see in the West.
That's a great point. You're right. Their cultural and political landscape definitely plays a role in shaping their AI journey. What are some of the key differences that stand out to you?
Well, one of the biggest differences is the level of government involvement. In China, the government's super active in shaping the direction of AI research and development. They set national priorities and they provide a lot of financial support. It's this top-down approach, which is pretty different from the more hands-off approach you often see in Western countries, where private companies and research institutions have more autonomy.
Yeah, it's almost like comparing a well-conducted orchestra to a jazz band.
Oh, I like that.
Both can create beautiful music, but the approach and the sound you get are totally different.
Yeah.
Do you think this top-down approach gives China an advantage, or are there potential downsides to that?
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, honestly. On one hand, it lets them mobilize resources and talent really quickly. They can focus their efforts on strategic priorities.
Yeah.
It's like a high-speed train. They decide where they want to go and then get there fast.
Right.
But the risk is that if there's too much control from the top, it could stifle creativity and innovation. It's like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Sometimes you need a little flexibility, a bit of experimentation to make breakthroughs.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It seems like finding that right balance between guidance and freedom is crucial. It'll be interesting to see how they manage that as their AI sector matures. What are some of the long-term consequences of this centralized approach, do you think?
Well, one concern is that it could lead to a less diverse AI ecosystem compared to, say, the West. With the government playing such a dominant role, there might not be as much room for those unconventional ideas or approaches. It's like a garden. A garden with all sorts of different plants is going to be more resilient and productive than one with, just one type of plant.
Right. Diversity leads to strength.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the financial side of things for a bit. We've talked about the potential economic benefits of China's AI ambitions, but what about the risks? Are there any potential downsides to all this rapid growth?
Yeah, one risk is, the possibility of an AI bubble. With all this money pouring into the sector, there's a chance that some companies might be, overvalued, and
Yeah.
that could lead to a correction down the road.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
In a way, yeah. The potential rewards are huge, but there's also a need to be cautious and, to really assess the risks.
Okay. What about the average person in China? How is this whole AI boom affecting their lives?
Well, AI is already pretty noticeable in everyday life there. You've got facial recognition being used for security and payments, personalized recommendations on shopping websites, things like that. It's kind of like having This personal assistant that anticipates your needs and makes your life a little easier.
So it's becoming more and more integrated into daily life.
Definitely.
Are there any concerns about job displacement or maybe AI widening the gap between, the rich and the poor?
Yeah, those are valid concerns, and people are talking about them in China, just like in other parts of the world. As AI gets more sophisticated, there's a real risk that some jobs could become automated, especially jobs involving repetitive tasks, factory workers, data entry clerks, that sort of thing.
So it's not just about the exciting advancements. We also have to think about the potential social impact and make sure everyone benefits from this technological revolution.
Absolutely. It's about using AI for good while also, trying to minimize any negative consequences.
Okay, let's circle back to global AI governance. We touched on it earlier, but I think it's a really crucial area that needs more attention, especially with AI developing so rapidly.
I agree.
What are some of the big challenges in trying to establish effective global AI governance frameworks?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is getting all these different countries with their different values and priorities to agree on things. It's kind of like trying to get everyone to agree on the rules of a game. It's tough to find common ground when everyone has different goals and perspectives.
So how do we bridge those differences and create a framework that ensures responsible AI development and use on a global scale?
It takes open dialogue, collaboration, and a willingness to compromise. Countries need to come together and agree on some shared principles,
Hmm.
ethical guidelines, and maybe even some mechanisms for monitoring and enforcement. It's like building a house. Everyone needs to agree on the blueprints and work together to create a solid foundation.
That's a great analogy. So it's a big task, but it sounds like a necessary one if we want to harness the power of AI for good and avoid potential pitfalls. What are some of the key areas that need to be addressed in these global frameworks?
Well, data privacy is a big one. With AI systems relying so heavily on data, we need clear rules on how that data is collected, stored, and used. It's like handling a delicate flower. You have to be careful not to crush it when you're studying it. And then there's the issue of bias in AI systems. If they're trained on biased data, they can perpetuate and even amplify existing inequalities. It's like a mirror. If the mirror is distorted, the reflection will be too.
Where those are really important points. It's not just about the tech, it's about making sure it's developed
Yeah.
and used in a way that's ethical and fair.
Exactly.
Okay, what could happen if we fail to establish these global governance frameworks? What are the potential consequences?
Well, we could see a fragmentation of the AI landscape, different countries or regions operating under different rules, which would lead to inconsistencies and conflicts and potentially even, misuse. It'd be like having different traffic laws in different states, total chaos.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. It really emphasizes how urgent it is to address this and to work together internationally to ensure responsible AI development.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look ahead a bit. We've talked about the possibility of China becoming the global leader in AI, but what are some other possibilities? What could the AI landscape look like in, say, 10 or 20 years? What are some of the different scenarios?
Well, one scenario is a multipolar world where you have several major players, China, the US, maybe the European Union, each with their own strengths and focus areas,
Right.
kind of like a global chessboard. Each player has different pieces with different abilities, and the game unfolds strategically.
So a world where power is more distributed.
Exactly. And that could actually be a good thing. It could foster competition and collaboration, driving innovation. But it could also lead to tension and conflict, especially if those players don't cooperate on things like data privacy and ethical standards.
So it'll be important to find that balance between competition and collaboration.
Absolutely.
Okay, what are some other scenarios? What else could happen?
Well, another possibility is that AI just becomes more and more integrated into our lives to the point where the line between, the physical and digital worlds becomes blurred. Imagine like smart homes that anticipate your every need, personalized healthcare recommendations based on your genes, even AI companions that offer emotional support, things like that.
So a future where AI is completely intertwined with our daily lives.
Exactly. But, along with those exciting possibilities, we also have to think about the potential risks. Things like the erosion of privacy, autonomy, even human connection. We need
Ugh.
to approach these advancements with caution and make sure that AI is serving humanity, not the other way around.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that technology is a tool. And it's up to us to decide how we use it and what kind of impact it has on our lives. Speaking of which, something that's been on my mind is this potential for an AI arms race. It's a topic that comes up a lot, and it's a bit unsettling.
It is a valid concern, especially with, the way things are geopolitically right now. If countries start seeing AI mainly as a military tool, it could easily lead to an arms race, everyone trying to develop more powerful and autonomous weapons systems. Imagine a world where drones are making life or death decisions without any human intervention. That could have some really scary unintended consequences.
That's a chilling thought. It really underscores the need to establish clear international rules and regulations for AI in military applications.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that human control and ethical considerations are at the forefront of any AI systems used in warfare. We can't let machines decide who lives or dies without human oversight.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Developing AI, especially in the military, needs to be guided by a strong ethical framework and a commitment to peace.
I agree. We have to make sure AI is used to enhance human security, not to undermine it. The potential consequences of an arms race they're too serious to ignore. We need to act now to prevent that from happening.
That's a powerful point. It emphasizes the urgency of addressing this and the need for global cooperation. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about something a little lighter for a minute.
Right.
What about AI's potential to revolutionize entertainment and leisure?
Oh, that's a fun one. I mean, we're already seeing AI being used to create personalized music recommendations, design realistic video game characters, even write scripts for movies and TV shows.
It's like having this AI creative partner helping us explore new possibilities in the world of entertainment. What are some other ways that AI is changing how we experience leisure and just having fun?
Well, AI is being used to create these immersive virtual reality experiences so you can explore these incredible worlds and interact with characters that feel, amazingly real. Imagine attending a concert in your living room, but you feel like you're right there in the crowd.
Wow.
Or maybe you're exploring a coral reef or climbing Mount Everest, all without leaving your house.
That's pretty amazing. It sounds like AI is blurring the lines between reality and fantasy, opening up all these new possibilities.
It really is. And AI is being used to create these personalized travel itineraries, suggesting destinations and activities based on your tastes. It's like having a travel agent who knows you perfectly and can plan your dream vacation, taking into account your budget, your travel style, everything.
That's awesome. It's like having a personal concierge who can curate the perfect travel experience for you.
Exactly. And, AI is even being used to create personalized fitness plans, tailoring workout routines and diet recommendations based on, your goals and your body type. It's like having a virtual personal trainer who's available 24/7 to help you reach your fitness goals.
It's incredible how AI is transforming the way we explore the world, experience new things, and even take care of ourselves.
The possibilities are endless, really, and we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do in this realm of entertainment and leisure.
It's an exciting time to be alive. It seems like AI is ready to revolutionize not just how we work and live, but also how we play and experience the world.
It is exciting, but it's important to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Hmm.
It's up to us to use it responsibly and ethically to create a future where it, enhances our lives and helps us build a better world.
That's a great point to end on. The future of AI is in our hands. Let's make sure we shape it wisely.
It really is. We're at this crucial point. We have a chance to shape the future of AI, and we need to do it carefully, you know, thinking about what's best for humanity.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've talked about how AI could impact entertainment and leisure, and it's clear it's going to change how we experience things, from travel to fitness. But what about the downsides, the risks? We've touched on an arms race and privacy issues, but are there other things we should be worried about?
Well, one concern is that AI could be used for harmful things like creating deep fakes or spreading misinformation. Imagine a world where you can't tell the difference between a real video and a fake one, or a real audio recording.
Right.
That could lead to a lot of distrust and manipulation.
That's a scary thought. So the potential for AI to deceive and manipulate, that's a real threat. What could we do about that?
Well, we need to develop ways to detect these deep fakes and other kinds of AI-generated misinformation. It's like finding an antidote for a poison, right?
Right.
We need tools that can counteract the bad effects of this kind of AI.
But isn't it like a constant race? The people developing malicious AI are always trying to stay ahead of the people trying to detect it.
Yeah, it is a challenge. It's like a cybersecurity arms race.
Yeah.
Both sides are constantly adapting and trying to outsmart each other.
So it's a battle that's probably going to keep going as AI gets more advanced.
Yeah.
What about AI's potential to create or even worsen societal inequalities? We talked about job displacement, but are there other ways it could widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots?
Well, one worry is that these AI systems could be used to discriminate against certain groups of people. Maybe intentionally, maybe not. Imagine, like, a hiring system powered by AI that favors some demographics over others,
Yeah.
or a lending algorithm that denies loans to people based on their zip code or other factors that could be, stand-ins for race or income.
Right, right. It's like if the system is biased, then the results will be biased too.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about how it's used.
Right. And that's why it's so important to design AI systems that are transparent and accountable. We need to understand how they're making decisions and make sure they're not, making things worse. It's like building a house. You want a solid foundation. You have to make sure that the basic structure is sound and that it's built on fairness.
That's a great analogy. We need to build those ethical considerations into the very core of these systems.
Yeah.
Okay, what about AI being used to, I don't know, to undermine democracy or individual rights?
That's another big concern. Think about AI-powered surveillance systems. They could be used to track people's movements, monitor their online activity, even predict their behavior. Imagine a world where every step you take, every website you visit, every conversation is recorded and analyzed by these algorithms.
That sounds a little creepy. It's like Big Brother watching your every move. So what can we do to prevent that kind of future?
Well, we need strong laws and regulations that protect people's rights. Clear rules about how AI can be used for surveillance and safeguards to prevent abuse. It's like having checks and balances in government. You need mechanisms to stop any one group from having too much power.
Right, so it's about finding that balance, right,
Mhm.
between using AI to benefit society and protecting individual freedoms.
Exactly. It's a tough issue, no easy answers. It's going to take a lot of discussion and collaboration between governments, tech companies, and regular people to find solutions that, prioritize both progress and human well-being.
So the future of AI is not like set in stone. It's up to us to shape it.
I agree.
We decide how it's used and what role it plays in our world. And that's a big responsibility.
It is. The choices we make now will affect people for generations. We need to be both careful and optimistic, embracing what AI can do to make our lives better, but also staying aware of the dangers.
Well, we've covered a lot today. China's AI plans, the global implications, the ethical challenges. It's been a really insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the future of AI isn't just happening to us. We're creating it together. Let's make it a future we can be proud of.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.